Brandon?
Hey, it's on my phone, but I'm going to switch it up to the TV. How are you
Okay,
doing?
I'm good.
Okay, let's look here. If I can, anyway. Should be able to.
Is your wife available as well?
Yeah, I'm going to get her to come down.
Sorry, what's your wife's name, Brandon?
Tiana.
Tiana. Okay.
Yeah. Meeting setting, minimize meeting, virtual background, raise hand. Oh, I can screen
If you need to switch over to your computer, just log off or log on from your computer as well.
Yeah, I don't have a webcam on my computer.
Okay.
Otherwise, I would. Yeah. But just in case you show some stuff, I want to put you up on the TV. Quiet, you.
You have a puppy.
Yeah, he's a big puppy.
What kind of dog? You went dark, by the way. I no longer can see you.
Oh yeah, I'm trying to do the screen mirroring with.
Okay, sure. Okay, there you are.
That is what it is. Yeah, she's just doing something on the computer, and she's gonna come down.
Okay. All right. Sorry, I'm in a hotel room. I generally don't take calls like this, but okay. So you want to focus on your commercial space.
Yeah.
And you're using a whole bunch of different programs to help you do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's much easier ways to do that. By the way, have you thought about roof coatings?
I've done roof coatings in the past, yeah.
Okay, any interest? Did you find them more profitable than the other type of roofing?
I think that there's a place for it, yeah. The one that I'm working with at Interface, he doesn't like it. He used to own his own building envelope consulting business, engineering consulting. And he finds that the roof coatings usually get picked away by birds and stuff like that. So, but I've done it and I've had pretty good. I think I had one, but I think it was an installation error and not the material itself. But
okay, we were working for a short period of time. He just wanted some help in terms of designing the marketing system. So we're working with a roofing company. And today they fly crews all over North America doing major roofs like General Motors in Oshawa and Chrysler plant and stuff like that. So they do major roofs. So we helped them design the system where it was profitable enough to fly crews all over North America. So
that's what I was trying to do with CLS roofing too. So back probably, like, I left there and I started there probably 6 years ago, and I worked my way up into the office, and I got them with their DOS, and then we started getting, and then we got into bonding, and then we started doing government jobs, and then I was trying to get into we started sending our guys to Cornwall, Kingston, stuff like that, but we needed a better way for the crews to to work and be able to live out there. And then we found that sometimes they were getting into fights or drink too much and stuff like that because they're roofers, right?
Yeah, that's going to happen.
Yeah.
Okay, so they weren't staying in hotels. They were
They stayed in hotels. Yeah, we put them up in motels. Yeah, and gave them. I think it was like they would get $100 a day each, and that would put like 50 towards their 50 or 60 towards their room. Put two in a room, and they would get their dinner.
I see. So they had a per diem.
Yeah.
So remind me again, what's your background? How long have you been
in roofing?
In the industry, yeah.
15 years.
15, okay. Yeah. And who were you working for? Any major companies that I would know, or?
So I had worked with European Master Roofers. That's how I started in there. They're more of a residential, but they were doing commercial as well. And they probably weren't that big, but back in the like the 90s, they were pretty big. And then I moved from that. I started my own business for 3 years doing Metropolis Roofing. That was great and all, but business partner was wanted to be the guy that works on the roof and did the estimating, and then went and did the job himself. And I wasn't. I'm not that kind of guy. I wanted to find the work and get it done. So after about 3 years, we parted ways. I just left him the company, and I went off and actually just I went and made pizzas with my dad for about 8 months, and I said screw it, I wouldn't get back into roofing. And then I went into to start work at CLS Roofing. They weren't big name at all, so CLS Roofing, and then we he and I got it up to 5 million per year. When I first started, we were about 1.8, and then we got up to the 5 million mark.
Over what period of time?
Over I think it was 3.5 years, we got to 5 million.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's a pretty big jump from 1.8. He was doing all right by himself, but I was still, when he was doing the 1.8, I was project managing, but I wasn't project man. I was a roofer at the time, but I noticed that he wasn't managing properly, and I started managing his crews just from being a roofer, just so, because I didn't understand how he was making money with all the guys screwing around, and he wasn't doing his due diligence, watching the guys and what was going on and who was in and who wasn't in and all that. So I just started doing that. And then I worked my way into the office probably in 2015, and then worked all the way till 2019. And then January 1st, I left. I started with Interface. So
is the company that you started with your partner, is that still going today?
yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
he's still
How's that company doing?
Still small. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, he does his work. I think he partners up with his other friend that does roofing too, and they just, when one gets a job, they work on that. When the other gets a job, they work on it with each other.
Right. Okay.
So
So you sound more ambitious. So
yeah.
what would you like to accomplish?
For me, what my goal has always been, like, I want to franchise a business. Like, it just so happens to be that I'm in roofing now, but before it was like, when I was doing the pizza, I wanted to own a franchise from Willie's and then do it that way. But I saw him trying to franchise, and he was doing it incorrectly. So his franchising didn't work out properly. They were trying to they weren't like divulging the secrets of the business kind of thing. Like like they wanted to franchise, but they didn't want to hire somebody to make sure that they went in and that they followed the rules and everything. And a few of them didn't work. So
Okay, yeah, you can't have a
they gotta
failure.
afford.
You can't
Yeah.
afford even one failure.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but and then I got back into roofing, and then I wanted to do that. I kind of wanted to do that with CLS, and then at one point maybe me branch off into Toronto and start trying to do have a franchise of my own out in Toronto with CLS Roofing.
Okay. So you have kids. How old are your kids?
1 and 2.
Okay, very young family.
Yeah.
Okay. So is your dad still in the pizza business?
Yep.
Okay.
But he doesn't own. He's the for him, like, he was great. Like, everywhere he goes, he's the kitchen manager, and wherever he goes, like, the company always does well, like the business does well. So he would have been somebody great to do that. But I don't want to work like how he worked for somebody and build somebody else's dreams and future.
Right.
Make a paycheck.
Yep. Making other people rich.
Yeah.
I understand that. So ideally, where would you like to be in 5 years?
In 5 years, I'd like to be just running my business and doing. I'd like to be over 2 million.
2 million
in
in commercial roofing.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a long time to get to 2 million in 5 years. That's a pretty slow progress, especially in the commercial space.
But I should be able to, that's what I mean. So I didn't set the bar high, but I think 2 million, just as I'm transitioning in, is something that is achievable, but not the stars. Now, 5 years, I'd like to be at 5 million or 8 million.
Okay.
That's it's not like I would slow anything down to just get to 2 million in 5 years. So if the ball gets rolling, I would definitely keep going. I'm not somebody who will slow down. So
Yeah, the ball gets rolling.
snowballing kind of thing. So that's
Right.
kind of like what happened with CLS. We were going, and then all of a sudden, like the contacts and contracts just kept piling up, and then it was like almost in like this snowballing phase where everybody was hammering us with work, and we were just trying to so at the one point I told him too, because he's like, it's not about getting the work now, it's about getting the work done.
Done,
But
yeah.
yeah, but it's
So
also
finding employees was a huge problem.
oh yeah.
Okay. Have you solved that problem yet?
So right now what I'm focusing on is more subcontracting rather than hiring an internal force,
Right.
and I'm trying to split it up through that. So the one subcontractor I have now, he's able to supply and wait for payment until it comes through. So, and then I would talk to my insurance company because I want to get a general contractor's insurance, and he said as long as my subcontractor has the hot insurance, I can do hot work, because that's now up. Like starting price on that is anywhere from 25 to 50,000 a year, so super high.
Right. So you got to have the volume.
Yeah.
Okay. So where are you at in terms of your company? Are you still working for someone else, or are you working exclusively?
No, I'm still working for somebody else. Yeah.
Okay. So you're starting your business part-time then?
Yeah.
Okay. Have you had any traction? Have you done any work through your company yet?
So I have, because I have the subcontractor that I talked to you about. He came up to me and asked me if I could do some bidding with his clients. So it's not like I'm taking two clients. Like, so I work with his clients, and I work with Interface's clients, and then I have my own clients. But I've been kind of switching them back and forth between Interface and Robinson Roofing, who I'm working with. So it's kind of getting to the point where I'm going to have to pick what the heck I'm doing before, because I don't know how long I can continue to work with Interface Contracting and do my work and work with Robinson Roofing. So, I mean, right now, like, I'm probably project managing somewhere around $1 million worth of work, but that could easily go up, because I know that went with CLS at one point. We were doing within 2 or 3 months. We did 3 million, I think, in the fall, in 3 months.
Okay.
So like our spring was a little bit slower, and then we got really compacted in fall. So
okay. So what do you think is restricting or not allowing you to make a decision to jump into your business full time? What is it that you're waiting to happen?
I think it's float. I mean, I've got an invoice to put in for 18,000 coming up, but I think it's the money, and then also the fear of letting go of a salary to go after just making my money, and it's coming into the winter time and COVID and all that. So yeah.
Okay. So it's really, if you had, let's say, 3 or 5 contracts signed.
Oh yeah, I would totally.
And ready to start, at that point you would feel comfortable jumping over.
Yeah.
Okay. So what's stopping you from getting those 3 or 5 contracts signed? Do you
Well,
have enough prospects to sign those 3 or 5 contracts?
yeah, so we do. We've got with Robinson Roofing, I've got like 3 or 4 contracts signed with him. Yeah, so I've
Okay.
got money coming in through that. I think right now what I'm trying to do is keep enough money generated so with Interface and working with them, I'm still paying the house bills and all that. With the other money that I'm getting from that, I'm starting to funnel into Top Tier too, because I want to get the website in place, all the software in place. I want to have everything ready so when somebody jumps in, it's not like I'm a half-cocked business. So when I jump into it, I want to make sure that all my ducks are in a row, and my insurance is there, my website is set up, my advertising is in place, and that. With commercial, I don't need as much advertising because it's a lot with contra. It's making the contacts that you need with general contractors, and then
Okay.
also advertising for like property management companies and stuff like that. So
Okay. So let's talk about that for a second.
Yeah.
How are you creating those contacts? How are you building those relationships? Because those
So
relationships have to
right
be
now,
built on trust.
yeah, that's the thing, right? So, um, like
Experience, just kind of by mouth.
well, what I'm doing is I like I picked a couple of general contractors, and I usually start to speak with the estimators and help them out where they can save money and stuff like that. And then I try to be available for the contacts whenever they put something through, so I'm responsive fast enough so they don't have to go to somebody else. So I try to stay in the contacts' ears so they become reliant almost on me for like commercial roofing aspects and stuff like that.
Okay. By the way,
If
can we
there's
bring
better
your
ways.
wife into the picture?
Yes.
Okay.
Come here. You heard her talk in the background.
Yes, she might as well be in the picture.
Hello.
Hi, I'm Leo.
Yeah.
Okay, so how long has this process been going on where you've been trying to develop this company part-time? When did this process start?
August, I think.
Yeah, about a month ago, probably.
August, July, August, I think.
Okay, so a pretty
So I
short period
incorporated
of
it,
time.
yeah. It's only been a couple of months. Yeah.
Okay.
That's why I'm trying to get everything in a row. So I'm not exactly set up to the point where I can walk away.
Right.
But I'm also so I'm working with Robinson Roofing on a commission basis where I make 10% off of the sale.
Okay.
So if I sell with him, but then again, I'm still building up Robinson Roofing. So I wanted to go through Top Tier, and then him subcontract through me, and I'll still make the same 10% in the beginning, and then he would buy the materials, supply the labor, do the job, and then it would just be under my umbrella, basically.
Okay. All right.
Makes
So
sense.
let's talk about whatever time frame that it's taking you to go from starting this business until you feel comfortable jumping over. Okay.
Yeah, I think spring.
Spring. Okay. Spring is around the corner.
Yeah.
Okay. Literally, spring is around the corner. And if you want to start in spring, you really have to get all this stuff in place now.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I need to get the contracts through the winter to start up in the spring.
Okay. So in the spring, let's jump forward into the spring. What would you have in place? How many salespeople are going to have? How many crews are going to have?
So right now I have a flat crew, which is Waylon. I've talked to him if he could expand if we get busy, and he said that he's willing to expand his crew. So I want to kind of use me as the platform to get the contract into the work, and then him run his company to supply the manpower to do the work.
To do the work. Okay.
Yes.
All right. So what I see that needs to happen between now and spring, and really whenever someone says, Leo, I'm thinking of starting a business within the next 5 years, I would say you should start organic marketing now.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Because organic marketing, to build those trusted relationships, takes a long time. And the advantage that you already have is you already have a subcontractor, right?
Yeah.
So if some of the jobs start happening the 5 years before you launch your company, you can sub out to your subcontractor, right?
Yeah.
Then that way you're building the infrastructure, you're building the trust, you're building the company.
Yeah.
And when you reach that plateau where you say, well, I'm comfortable enough, I'm going to jump in full time. Okay.
Hmm.
But generally, you're trying to do the work that you should have been doing for the last 5 years
Yeah.
in a few months. Okay. Which means you need to design the business blueprint. You need to design the aggressive marketing system. You need to design all the systems, procedures, everything in the office. You need to
Hmm.
create a program to attract, motivate, and keep talented employees.
Hmm.
You know, you need, and the other 30 things, major things you need to have done. And that's what we call the business blueprint, right? You need to have a solid foundation. And now keep in mind that this is a brand new company. You haven't developed the trust. So your
Yeah.
trust foundation is going to be weak,
Yeah.
right? But you're going to be competing. And you said something a few seconds ago that scared me.
Hmm.
And it sounded like you want to win over some of these contracts based on price, right?
Yeah. No, I don't. So that was the thing that I don't want to do. I want to bid high, bid often.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um,
But yeah, so that's kind of how I wanted to do it. Sorry, I got somebody beeping in here. It's
yeah.
actually my boss, but let's see here.
Well, you can take the call and tell me you're going to call him back if that's okay.
Hey.
Okay. Um, okay. So what I was saying before is we need to have, or you need to have all that infrastructure in place because I'm sure you understand there's a 96% failure rate in business,
Mhm.
right? That was before the virus. right? The virus is sending a lot more companies into bankruptcy, and you want to make sure you're not one of those. Okay, so having that infrastructure in place obviously helps you beat those odds, because those
Yeah.
are horrible odds, right? And the other thing is, the roofing industry by nature is a seasonal type business, which is another problem that you have to deal with, right?
Yeah, because I got
And
about 4 months of like downtime.
right, and so most companies find other services to carry them over the winter. But the problem is, a lot of the employees don't want to work; they want to collect unemployment.
Yeah.
In those times. So that's another challenge. So even if you want to turn a seasonal business into a full-time business, your employees may not want you to.
Yeah, no,
So,
it's true, 100%. Yeah,
yeah.
even well, we would do sometimes like mechanical work in the winter, or like new work we can usually do,
Okay.
like new flat roofing kind of stuff. That's about it for roofing through the winter. I mean, shingles you can't really do. Coatings you won't be able to do, but
You
you'll be
can
able
in
to
US.
in the U.S. Yeah,
Yeah. So, and this is why I was trying to broaden your mind, because if you focus only on the Ottawa market, that's going to be a pretty small company.
Yeah.
All right. But if you focus on Ontario or Canada or North America,
Yeah.
that's a much bigger market, especially if you're thinking about franchising.
Yeah.
And franchising, you can't really think about just the Ottawa market, because again, you need to plant trees, right?
Yeah.
When you want those franchises, you better have the credibility around North America, and you better start building that credibility today, because you're going to need that credibility 5 and 10 years from today.
Yeah.
So again, it's like planting trees. You can't harvest trees as you're planting at the same time.
Yeah.
So you have to plant those trees 5, 10, 50 years before you need them, right? And that's what I mean about the business blueprint. And you really need to know what your business is going to look like 5, 10, 20, 40 years from today as well.
Well, yeah, because you have to have a system in place that everybody
Exactly.
follows at all the franchises as well. So,
Yeah.
because I remember I used to work at Denny's when I was younger, and that's what really started me with the franchise stuff. Really got into my head with that. Was so my dad was working there too, and he brought me on. I was just a dishwasher, but it was the Greeks. They went out and they found Denny's in the US, and they brought it in, and they had a contract to open up all the franchises of Denny's in Ontario. I think it was North America actually. They had to open them all up, and they had a certain amount that they had to open up in a certain amount of time. I thought it was neat. Plus, Denny's, they would send guys down to check to make sure that they were doing their job properly. Everything was, going out the way it was supposed to be. The back end was set up properly, but they also had they did everything, like the menus. They did all that stuff. Yeah, I think they did all the advertising for them too. But that was like the hub would do that, right? The head office had everything for them, and basically they just worked out of. They were just able to do the work from there. Like the people come in and make the food and put it out, kind of thing.
Right. We've worked on 8 different franchise concepts from scratch. So I'm a firm believer in franchising as well. We started franchising. I started my first business when I was 17, the construction business. Started franchising when I was 19. So I'm a firm believer in the franchise concept. And I believe, and stats show, that it's the quickest way to bring capital infusion into your company is franchising. But if you don't have everything, everything perfect, it can implode. If you look at Givner's, a number of franchise concept where the franchisee took the franchisor fishing and he never came back type thing. That's a good example. Oh, he had a fishing accident. Yeah. But that's a good example. If you don't have everything in place, and if you don't have everything designed to make the franchisee successful, never go on a fishing trip with your franchisees. Okay?
Yeah, exactly.
So, because chances are you're not coming back. So, but it's really designing things and working night and day to make sure your first 10 franchises are successful. Once you get over that hurdle, it's so much easier because now the first 10 are selling the next 100.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
So
Well, I was also looking at that, like Cobb's Bread is another one that was franchised, and there was another one too that came in. But it's neat that these little things they open up, and I think really that's the way of the future, especially in the construction industry, is the national brands are going to do more work.
yeah.
And it seems like the government is setting it up that the people that grow big get all the breaks, and then everybody is starting to see you see it with like the Walmarts and the Canadian Tires and that they're
And
straight
the
across.
Amazons.
And the Amazons, they're open up everywhere.
Yeah.
Whereas if you just try to be, run your business, like if I just want to run my business in Ottawa, I mean, at some point, that's all it is just my business in Ottawa. It's
Yeah,
not.
you're not employing millions of people.
Yeah.
But if Amazon opens a distribution center in
Yeah.
Ottawa, that's thousands of jobs.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
So they deserve to get the breaks from
Exactly.
a business perspective. So
100%.
yeah. So I mean, the government has our best interest in the long run, so it makes sense.
Mhm.
So I think you're the right guy to be doing this. You sound ambitious. You sound like you know what you want to do. If you obviously putting emphasis in systems and software and different things.
But it has to be systemized because the franchise essentially has to run itself. I can't be the one pulling the strings. It's got to be the franchise has grown to a point where it's just running itself.
Right.
And you have the people in place to make sure that it's continually running as, almost like quality control. I mean, everybody's kind of on the same page, rolling through it. I think Atlas Apex was one that recently went, or I don't know if it was recently, but they're national now too. So I don't know if you've heard of Atlas Apex.
Yes, yes, I
yeah.
have ran into them a number of times. What I was going to suggest is right now you are doing what we call trial and error, or the learning curve, right?
Yeah.
I actually worked with a roofing company who had been in business for 40 years. And after 40 years, he was still on the learning curve. He was still doing stuff he should have solved in the first 3 months.
Yeah.
Okay. And when we were called in, it was the wife who called us in and said, Leo, by the time you leave here, if you don't fix this company, not only am I leaving, the state, I'm leaving him, I'm leaving the business, I'm just gone. Because he kept refinancing the house. It was the feast and famine bullshit. He would get contracts. He would pay off the house and do really, really well. Then, 2 years later, he was refinancing the house because now it's up and down like a toilet seat, right? And she was just tired of that, right? And by the way, that company is still in business today. And that company, he had a grade 6 education. And he runs a $42 million company with a grade 6 education, right?
Yeah.
But it took him 40 years to realize what he shouldn't be doing, right? And we had to fly in to show him, hey, this is what you should be doing, right?
He's focusing on the wrong thoughts.
Right. I mean, when we get together, I'll give you more detail to that story because that's a painful story. It really is. But you can learn a lot from these case studies, as in what not to do, right? But actually, here's an example. While I have both of you together, then I'll let you go. I don't have a lot of stats in roofing, but we do have a lot of stats in terms of general contracting. A general contractor, check these stats out. A general contractor generally takes 20 to 40 years to get to $20 million. 20 to 40 years. That same general contractor, given those 33 tools we spoke about, now can get to 20 million in 3 to 7 years, not 20 to 40. Okay, so this is what I'm talking about, is you're doing it by trial and error. Yes, you're doing it pretty quick because you adapted to software pretty quickly. Most of your competitors, they've been in business for 20 years, have never thought about software,
Oh, I know
right?
they're way behind. That's what it was at CLS when we were there, and I was like, "Fuck, we can't do it. It's got to be software based. It can't be like it can't be paper because it just isn't fast enough."
It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
But do you realize most contractors will waste 20 years to learn that,
Yeah.
right? But when you put that in your business blueprint before you launched a company, you just saved yourself 5, 10, 20 years, right?
Yeah.
That's one example. But there are at least 30 or 40 other things that you're going to be
Oh, yeah.
doing by trial and error. Yes, you're probably going to do it a lot faster than everybody else, but you're still going to waste 5 or 10 years,
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I know
right?
that. Yeah. That's why I
Doing
said
it by yourself. We've taken over 1,000 guys like you from under 2 million to where they're doing more than 20 million. So we've done this over 1,000 times. Okay. So the decision, I usually say, Brandon, would you like me to save you 5 or 10 years? Because literally that's what we do. That's why we're in business. We don't do shit by trial and error. You
Well, that's
do
the only
things.
reason why I'm talking to you too, because
Okay.
I understand like the systems have to be in place. And if I thought I knew everything in this world, I wouldn't be talking to you right now. So.
Okay. So I still have a problem with that conflict of interest.
Yeah.
Because they are, and the reason why you and I started talking is because I wanted you to come in so you can start the commercial division for them.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's, I kind of have to make a decision because there's going to be overlap. So even though, they're in the residential space, you want to be in the commercial space, there's still going to be an overlap because you're still in the same city.
Yeah.
Right. So let's leave that up in the air. Do you have any questions for me right now?
So basically it would be, how would we start to develop a relationship to start getting the blueprint into action, basically?
Okay.
So I want to know how to start creating the foundation for the next few years, basically.
All right.
If you're willing
See,
to.
Well, assuming that we've dealt with the conflict of interest, let's say that's dealt with. You're right. Your instincts are correct. Your business blueprint has to be in place before you start this process. We generally bill $5,000 to start that process, the business blueprint process. And that process is not something you start and you finish. There's never a finish.
Oh, I know that. Yeah.
It's a marathon race that keeps going forever, as long as the company is alive, because it keeps changing. You keep updating it and so on. It's an Empire State Building. They keep adding floors to it every year. So that's somewhere where you can start, but we can even start smaller. We can start on an advisory level, where it doesn't sound like you have the infrastructure to get all this done yourself, because you are a guy that, I'm assuming you're very comfortable on the job site, correct?
Yeah.
You know what's going on the job site. You know what is being done right and what could be done better, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. How comfortable are you on the business side, in the office side of the same business?
I'm very comfortable, yeah.
Okay. Which would you be more comfortable? In terms of using your experience
in the business side, yeah, in the office.
In the office side, okay. So have you done efficiency studies? Have you built marketing systems? Have you built systems to create relationships?
I haven't systems to build relationships. Do you mean like software that reaches out to clients and stuff, or?
Well, you're using Pipedrive, right? How into it are you? Are you creating
Okay, no, so I started to do all that with CLS roofing, and now I'm trying to implement the CRM into this and stuff like that. I haven't gotten that far yet, so we're still. So right now I'm at that point where I'm trying to figure out which software to use. So like I was talking to Tiana about it because she was talking. I said I don't want to, wait 2 or 3 years to try and get the company on track and then backtrack down to bring it back up. I'd rather start in the first 2 or 3 months, and that's why I was talking to you. But I was still trying to get some stuff into place so I can afford to be able to use your services and stuff as well.
Okay.
So, 'cause I don't want to get too far ahead and then have to, tear shit down to build back up.
Because it was not built properly, yes.
Yes,
But
so I don't want to build the company on shaky walls.
right. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there are a number of ways we can work, assuming that you have 5 years. Let's say you were going to tell me, Leo, I want to launch my company in 2025. Then I'll say, okay, let's start with, a $500 a month advisory plan. Let's start building towards that. Let's start creating the infrastructure. We have time to do that. But when you say, I want to start in the spring,
Yeah.
okay, now we have to do 4 years worth of work in a few months. Okay, so no longer does the $500 a month advisory plan really apply, because really what I would recommend in that case is have a done for you type program where it's done and we give it to you. In other words, you want a 25,000 square foot house built, right?
Yeah.
You have the budget of one carpenter.
Yeah.
But one carpenter is going to take 20 years to build a 25,000 square foot house. Okay, so what you need is that house built, delivered to your site. Then we show your people, this is how you put the key in the lock. You turn it this way, the door opens this way, and this is how your company or your business or your house functions. Really, that's what you need, but you don't really have the budget for it. And skipping another year and waiting for the following spring, I'm not sure that that's an option, because you're going to miss 12 months of revenue.
Yeah.
I
mean, I could continue to do it the way that I've been doing it now. It's just that I'm kind of focusing on 3 different, so I basically have 3 jobs.
Right.
One on working with top tier contracting, one with working with Robinson Roofing that I want to use as a subcontractor for my new business, and then Interface Contracting that I'm doing work for. So.
Okay. Do you know why the majority of companies fail?
No.
Okay. Stats show that most companies fail when they try to scale.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Now, that failure could happen, 20 or 30 or 40 years later, because they're just, maintaining, right?
Yeah.
It's when they try to create that hockey stick curve.
Yeah.
They try to scale is really and that should happen in the first 3 or 4 months, but it happened 20 years later. So even though they've been around for 20 years, because they tried to scale, they're really a startup. 20 years, a 20-year startup. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's when they try to scale is when things go haywire. They bring on too much work.
Yeah.
Right. They bring on too much work. They don't bring the right people on who are not trained. The work is suffering, bad reviews or whatever it is. They lose contracts. They start getting sued, and it becomes a snowball. All of a sudden, they've lost it. Right? They've lost everything. Right? And I see that happening so many times. And the other thing that I see happening is I sit in front of a 35, 36-year-old who's already had 2 heart attacks because of the way the business was designed or not designed. It's creating so much stress that it's causing heart attacks, right? So, and that's the other problem that I see very often, especially in the Ottawa area. I'll share case studies in Ottawa where that's happened a number of times. So, and that's what's going to happen to you. That's your future if you keep going down your road, the only difference is it's going to be exaggerated for you because you are aggressive, you are ambitious. So those problems are going to multiply. Okay? So I'm not saying this to scare you. I'm saying this so you're aware of it, so you know where the crocodiles are on the road so you can avoid them, right? So it's the guy who takes 20 years to get his business to $1 million has less to worry about. You're ambitious, you have more to worry about because those crocodiles are going to be bigger for you.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's leave the conversation here because we're trying to accomplish too much on one phone call. Okay.
Yeah.
So send me a message. I would like both of you to continue this conversation and send me a message on LinkedIn tomorrow, and let's schedule another call.
Okay.
Is that fair?
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay. All right. Great meeting both
Perfect.
of you,
Thanks.
and enjoy your day. We'll talk soon.
Okay, thanks, Leo.
All right. Bye.